Hey everybody, Kerzac here again, and not in my backyard this time. And today I'm bringing you the review for the Transformers Earthrise Target exclusive Cybertronian villains, Voyager classes, Thundercracker, and Skywarp. That is a lot to say. Also known as the Seeker Elite team, I believe. So here they are in their vehicle modes. As you can see, they're the traditional G1E jets. As you can see, not F-15s. Are they F-15s? I could be possibly wrong on that. I'm not going to say what kind of jet they are, because I don't know, to be honest. But they are pretty good looking. These are Target exclusive, as I mentioned at the beginning, and they are definitely hard to find right now, because people want these figures, and they're very nice looking. I can kind of understand why they want them so bad. They do look very good, especially if you have Earthrise Starscream, who I'll go ahead and bring in for a comparison with these two, just so that we can go ahead and have the full trio together. There we go. That's about the only way I can get them all on screen like that. You can see they all look pretty good. They are not clambering up like that, but that's about the only way I can get them all on screen at once so everybody can see them. Pretty good looking figures all together. Get Starscream out of the way for now. Bring these two back into the spotlight because this is who the review is about. So we'll start with Thundercracker, who is my personal favorite Seeker out of all of them. You see he actually looks pretty good. You know, he's got orange clear plastic for the cockpit, just like all three of them do. No paint on the nose cone, just like Starscream. Neither one of these guys have paint on the nose cone. Thundercracker is supposed to be black. But you can also say this is more cartoon accurate, because in the cartoon they often forgot to paint the end of the cones. So, or color in the end of the cones. So this you could also technically say is cartoon accurate, depending on which scene you want to use. You do get some paint on the wings, some red and white stripes, which is appropriate for Thundercracker. You get Decepticon sigils, but they are very hard to see. I don't know why, but they blend in really badly with the blue here. Black fins and blue fins for the tail there, and some little engines that are clearly his feet. And you look along the bottom, and yeah, it's basically a robot kind of folded up. These guys are kind of just revamped versions of their classics deluxes. They're not exactly the same. They are definitely very different. The transformation's a little bit different. The figures themselves are different. But the basic idea is very, very similar. Even parts of their transformation are very similar to their deluxe class counterparts from the classics, or the Generations line in Thundercracker's case, because his didn't come out till later. But now we'll take a look at Skywarp. Also looks pretty good. I do love all the panel lining that all of them have. But on Skywarp with his black color, you can see it a lot better. While Thundercracker is my favorite, I can understand why Skywarp's a lot of people's favorite, because the black and purple with the silver definitely looks very nice. His cone is supposed to be purple, and it's still just black here, but it doesn't look too bad. Lace black kind of makes sense. You know, you got some silver at the front there, you got purple and white going down the sides, Decepticon sigil there. Tail fins are purple with black. And once again, you look along the bottom, you have the robot just kind of sitting there. They do both come with the same gun as Starscream, just in different colors, appropriate to each of them. And it does look pretty good underneath the wings that they're supposed to be. There are several peg holes all over. You can peg it on the back there. You can also peg it right there to kind of... I think it actually looks pretty good, to be honest. If you actually peg them right there, that actually doesn't look too bad. You can also peg it back here too if you want the guns kind of more underneath the wing like that. Actually, let's see how it looks. Yeah, it actually doesn't look too bad. It's not how it looks on the toy or on the original show, but it actually doesn't look too bad. It actually might make more sense for a real-life vehicle. Unfortunately, they don't have any landing gear. If you know anything about the Classics mold, it had a landing gear that folded out right here. It didn't roll, but it folded out from the chest at least to have something to land on. Unfortunately, none of the Seekers have that. So they just kind of, you can't run them along the ground. I mean, you don't really roll a jet anyway, but it does mean if you're not careful, you're going to be scraping plastic. So that does stink a little bit. I really wish they had molded landing gear into these figures. But Starscream didn't have it either, so we were kind of expecting that. So, like I said, pretty good looking jets. They look very nice. Oh, pegging the wing a little bit better. And they look pretty good. So we'll get into transformation. I'm only going to transform Thundercracker on camera, because it's the exact same transformation. Even this, I'm going to be doing it a little bit fast, because I'll be going more in depth with it in the when I review Starscream. So, you're going to just start by folding up the back wings here. Go ahead and just unpeg the guns. I just go ahead and do that. It makes it easier to transform everything. The wings, you do want to be careful because of how they peg in, especially when transferring back into jet mode. You can actually see on my Starscream where the wing scraped the peg. Some of the paint scraped off the edge of his wing there. So, and I'll show you that peg right here. So for wing, you're just going to want to, You don't want to pop it off like that. That's not what you want to do. You do need to... Oh, it just wants to pop off now. Okay. You do need to bring it down. You can see the peg that actually can scrape the paint if you're not careful is right there. It pegs the wing in really securely, but so securely that you might actually end up popping the wing off instead of just transforming it, so be very careful about that. But it flips around on this little hinge, this little strut comes out, you can lay the wing down like that. Now you're going to do the same on the other side. You can see it's just kind of coming unpegged, but honestly that might be a good thing because then you don't have to worry about the paint scraping. So you end up with a jet that has, like, you almost look like animated Thundercracker now. Comes to the bottom here, and you're going to flip this little panel up. Oh, I did want to say, on this panel right here, the little crotch plate, there is a peg hole here. And that is for if you want to put these in a flying pose. This panel is where the little peg hole for a stand is, so you can actually peg it in and have them in a flying pose if you so wish. Forgot to mention that. I'm glad I kind of spotted that now. But that's where it's at. So now that you have the crotch plate up, you're going to bring the leg panels down. They stick out that far. Come to the back and just unpeg it from the back, and the whole piece comes out on these little double struts. Pretty much just combine awards transformation right there. You can come legs back up and they tab right in back into the shin guards. Like so. You're going to come to the back here and you actually have to untab these from the sides just a little bit. And because these are kind of linked to the feet almost, because when it's not really linked to the feet, but they share a hinge, and the hinge is so tight that actually when you fold it down, it might actually bring the heel spurs back like that. You just bring the feet forward, spread the legs, get them standing, and bring this up so we can see a little bit better. Come back here, and this is kind of interesting because this pulls back much like a Classics figure, but it actually has a little piece that wraps around the chest plate to kind of keep it locked in. So the easiest way to do is kind of grab it like this with two fingers on your side, pull it up and back, and now unclip it. You bring it on back, bring the arms out, take the cone, bring it down, twist it around, bring that right on in, much like the Classics figure. This one, my Thundercracker and my Skywarp are both much looser on this little hinge piece here than my Starscream. It doesn't matter much once they're transformed, but when you have them on peg like that, the cone has a tendency to kind of just flop about. When you're pegging it back in, you want to be careful because you want to get these clips back over this piece here, but you also need to make sure it lines up with the arm panels here. So you just kind of get it all just right, clicked in. You can adjust it a little bit from the inside, flip the crotch piece back down. Arms, you're just going to accordion out. You flip this whole top panel up. Bring this in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Flip this out on a little strut. You can see this little piece. There is this little piece that makes the elbow basically. You want to make sure it's as straight as possible because it does tab into the top of the arm here. And you just bring the hand down. A little overcomplicated, I think, for an arm transformation. I do think the Siege Seekers handled this a little bit better. I do think this is a little much, but hey, I'm not a transformer, I'm not a toy designer, so I can't really say much. Finally, much like the Classics mold, take the cone, flip it out, bring it on back, comes out this little strut, hangs out the back. Unlike the, but it's not attached to the head really, so thankfully the head's free to go. It's actually attached down into the back there. So it allows for much more freedom of movement. And finally, just take the Seeker guns and peg them into the shoulders. Like so. And there you have your Earthrise, Thundercracker, and Robot Mode, and we'll get the Skywarp in just a second. And now we also have Skywarp in Robot Mode, and you guys, I gotta say, both Thundercracker and Skywarp look really good with the Earthrise molds. There is one major difference between these two. You know, Thundercracker, I believe, just reuses Starscream's head mold. You can see that. Just a, you know, stern looking face. Skywarp, on the other hand, has head remolded to have a yelling face, or a screaming face. I know in Transformers Animated, Skywarp was definitely the coward of the trio, of all of them. So maybe that's a carryover from that, because it definitely doesn't look like he's just yelling. Like with the eye, how the eyes are molded, how the mouth is molded, it definitely looks like he's more screaming. Which you think Starscream would be the one screaming, you know, Starscream, haha, joke, joke. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and bring him in for the trio shot. I do believe Starscream actually has slightly darker paint on his face, which is appropriate because that's how he looks in the show. And yeah, all three of them look really good together. I really like how this came out. You know, it's just like the Classics figures, but bigger and a little bit more articulation, which we'll get into in a minute. I did like the Siege trio, but the Siege figures definitely have some more articulation in some ways, but I just really like how these guys look in their Earth modes. And one thing that's one of the reasons why these guys are always referred to as Starscream clones is it kind of sticks out because of their paint scheme. Because like, if you look at these three, all three of them have their almost completely different paint. Like the only thing that they universally share as far as their color scheme goes is they each have the orange cockpit. Meanwhile, almost everything else is different. Like, yeah, it's in the same spots, but everything's different. You have blue for the main colors. You have blue, gray, and black. For the feet, you have black, blue, and purple. Even for like the arms and such, it's all different colors, and that's actually where Skywarp sticks out a little bit, because the color schemes for the most part stay in the same spot. They just change colors. Like nothing. I guess you can see the style of the colors doesn't change for the most part, just the colors themselves. Like the color scheme doesn't change. Not the scheme, but like, you know what I mean. They're like, they get paint in the same spots, just different colors of the paint. The actual places don't change, except for Skywarp. Not his paint, but his plastic. For both Starscream and for Thundercracker, their upper arm is the main color with their alternate color for the lower arm. You know, blue up here, black down here, gray up here, blue down here. Skywarp has his main color only for his upper arm, his main color being black, and then his other color, purple, is makes up his shoulder and his lower arm. Like it's the same. It makes up his lower arm too. Like it's the same thing as over here, except that for whatever reason the shoulders were done up in the same color as his lower arms, along with his weapons. I guess to help maybe make his arms stick out a little bit more, because if they were all black, they probably wouldn't stick out that much. It does look very good. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just a little thing I noticed. But one of the reasons that these guys are referred to as Starscream clones is if you notice how, like I said, almost nothing is shared between any of them except for the orange cockpits. Except for also Starscream, or Skywarp and Thundercracker share the silver chests and crotch plates. Also silver on the feet. Like wherever there's silver on one, there's silver on the other. While Starscream has the red, and his feet don't even follow the color scheme because he actually has dark black along the bottom, or darker gunmetal gray for his feet. So I feel like that's why these guys always kind of get referred to as Starscream clones, as they are they do have this look of like they were cloned off of Starscream's body, and then, yeah, for the most part they look different, but there's the main part of their body, the main chest part, has the same colors. Almost like as if this is a ranking. Maybe that's what it is their chest piece kind of describes a ranking. Like, Starscream has red because he's the fleet commander, and then you have silver for these two because they're the, I guess, sub-commanders, because they are pretty high up in the set's kind of hierarchy, I think. But that's enough of my weird theories. Let's get Starscream out of there. It's just a little interesting thing I've always noticed about these two, and I think that's why they usually end up together as like sets like this, because they do share a common component of being like Starscream's number 2 and 3, or number 2 each, I guess. I don't know. They don't really have a hierarchy. And I mean, their names actually do fit their powers. Like Starscream, of course, has null rays. Thundercracker has a attack known as the Sonic Boom, which creates explosions. And then Skywarp, of course, can teleport. So both their names kind of fit their powers. But let's get on to the figures themselves now. Enough of my weird rambling. So they do both look really good. We're going to bring in one at a time here. Thundercracker, as I mentioned, silver for the face, red for the eyes, silver all along the chest, gunmetal gray for the little turbine engines there. It looks really good. I don't think there's really... Oh, there's paint down here. There's a little bit gunmetal gray up there on the shin guards, some black right there for the little tubing, and then some silver on the feet, which all looks pretty good. They do use the wings very nicely to kind of bring over the paint. This is definitely where most of the paint goes for these figures, is into the robot mode, and it all looks very good. One thing that does kind of suck is that Starscream got paint on his tail fins, but neither Skywarp nor Thundercracker get that. Like, you know, you see neither one of them have paint on their tail fins. That does stink a little bit, especially since this set goes for a lot of money. This set, if you get it in Target, is $60. That's not bad. That's $30 a figure. That's normal for Voyagers. If you get it online, you're going to be paying upwards of $90 or more, probably more like $100, if current eBay prices are still accurate. That's a little ridiculous for these guys. I personally was able to get mine for $80. A kind person in my Transformers groups bought the figures for $60 plus tax at Target for me, and they shipped it to me for $15, so it came out about $80, and it charged me pretty much didn't charge me for any more than he had to pay, so it was really nice of him. That's how I was able to get my set. So try to make some friends in some Transformers groups, and hopefully somebody will be nice enough to pick up a set for you, or you get lucky enough to find one Target yourself. Now we're going to move on to the articulation for these guys. The heads are both ball jointed. They can look left and right. You can look that far up. The shoulders can go full 360 unless they hit the wings and go out that far. You do get a, unlike the classics counterpart, you do get a swivel right there. And you do get a elbow joint that goes just over 90 degrees. Unlike the Siege figures who have double elbow joint, you only get one. But it is a little over 9 degrees, so that's pretty nice. And unfortunately, again, unlike the Siege figures, no rotation at the wrist, which really does stink. Nothing at the waist either, which, yeah, I mean, it's been 14 years since the classics figure. Why can't we get a waist? I'm glad to have the swivels here and here, but why can't we have a waist joint or a wrist swivel? Why not? But, you know, that's just me being picky. Flip the crotch plate and get the hip going that far forward, going that far back. The back kibble right there does get in the way. It can go out that far. You do get a swivel right there, and you do get a knee joint that does go just, once again, just over 9 degrees there. And you do get foot articulation. Nothing forward and back, but you do get ankle tilts. So as you've been seeing this whole review, you can get the both Thundercracker and Skywarp in some more dynamic posing. Let me see if I can come up with a different kind of pose. That looks like he's slipping while he was skating or something, so let's not do that. But you get the point. You can get them in some much more dynamic poses than their previous counterparts. And they do look pretty good. I do think this set is worth it if you can find them for the right price. That price is going to be up to you guys, you know, to each their own. Some people, it's going to be more than worth it to pay the $100. If you can find them at Target, definitely get for $60. $60 is well worth it for these two. These two are very good figures, and they do look great with Starscream. I mean, if you get Starscream, you have to complete the trio at least. Even if you don't care about the cone heads, you have to complete the trio at the very least. More than that, I mean, like I said, I was willing to pay $80 for these two, and from there, that's up to you guys. They are good figures. They are very nice. The price is kind of up to you guys. It's hard to say. It's a really weird set. Oh, I do want to get one last comparison before we end the video. Earthrise grapple here, just to give you an idea of how they look. I had brought them out for this review and I almost forgot. So haha, last minute comparison. Anyway, so yeah, pretty good set. Not worth eBay prices in my opinion, but that's up to you guys. If you can find them for 90 bucks or less, I'd say you probably should pick them up. Pretty good set, pretty nice figures, look great with Starscream. Overall, I'm happy with them. So this has been Kerzac. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you all have a great day. Take care.